Hello, welcome to Driver Seats and to the 2017 Skoda Octavia. Now the Octavia is essentially based on the Golf, but the size of a Passat, yet priced cheaper than both, and that's been a winning formula for Skoda with this car. It's available in 3 body styles: this 5-door family hatch, a 5-door estate, and a crossover estate version called the Scout, which is a little bit more rugged. Now for 2017, it's got a brand new look. It's now got quad headlights and a new bumper at the front. There's also a brand new 1-litre petrol engine to go with the new model, and that sits alongside the existing 1.4 and 2-litre petrols. On the diesel front, there's a 1.6 and 2 versions of the 2-litre, whilst there's 7 trim levels to choose from. While updates to the back are confined to redesigned taillights and a new bumper. We're testing the entry-level Octavia, so it's got a 1-litre engine, 6-speed manual gearbox in S trim, and that costs £17,195. In the front, efforts have been made to make the Octavia feel more upmarket. This new infotainment display certainly does that. The black gloss, the bigger screen up to 9.2 inches now, has a really pleasant feel to it. This has got manual air conditioning with these pleasant rotary dials. There's some black trim across the dash and these chrome door handles with the satin infill. It's a really pleasant place to be. The steering wheel is leather wrapped, but there's no controls on it. However, the dials are clear and easy to read, and there's a trip computer in the middle. To get comfortable, there's a pump lever on the seat. In the lowest setting, when we get there, I've got acres of headroom. It feels roomy around me as well. Disappointingly, there is no central armrest, so that might limit comfort a little bit. However, the rotary dial for the backrest really does ensure you have a comfortable driving position. The steering wheel has very good reach and tilt adjustment, and there's plenty of storage. A big door bin, this huge anti-slip tray ahead with the USB connector, this 3 setup cup holder arrangement in the middle, another tray, and then the combined tray for the rear. The glove box also is very well sized. Of course, you get a mini little glove box for the driver. Even though this is the S and the entry-level Octavia, it still gets decent kit, including 16-inch alloy wheels, LED daytime running lights, LED tail lights, DAB radio, smartphone connectivity, Bluetooth, the 6.5-inch touchscreen, and automatic post-collision braking. In the back, as you'd probably expect, there's loads of room. I've got acres of leg, knee and feet room. It's really super impressive, and headroom's pretty good as well. There's a decent sized door bin, this big tray that can be shared between the front and back in the middle. But being the entry-level model, you get manual window winders, and there's no charging points for the kids' devices. There's also no fold-down central armrests. The central transmission tunnel has good girth and is quite tall, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for 3 to sit across in comfort. The boot offers 590 litres of capacity and is massive with this huge hatch opening, big flat floor. Underneath we've got an optional spare tyre, that could be some good storage area. There's 2 recesses to the side and a bag hook on the parcel shelf. Now, to put the size of this into perspective, the Civic offers 478 litres of capacity and the Golf a miserly 380, which is 210 less than this. Anyway, let's see what this thing's like on the road. So the new 999cc petrol engine under the bonnet develops 113 brake horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque. That's enough to get this from 0 to 60 in 9.9 seconds, which is actually very decent for the size of car it is. On an official combined cycle, it'll return 58.9 miles per gallon. However, on our test route, we've achieved around the 47 miles per gallon mark. It'll also emit 110 grams per kilometre of CO2. Now, 1 litre in a car this size might sound a little bit odd. I'm really trying to stretch the point with downsizing. However, what is odd initially is the confusion to the senses. Sink your right foot and there's a load of noise, but it's that proper 3-cylinder engine note, which is brilliant, but really generally reserved to city cars and super minis. To hear it in a big family hatch is really rather odd. What's even more odd is the fact it actually responds and goes. It doesn't feel slow, it doesn't feel tardy. It's very impressive indeed. There's no obvious flat points in the engine's delivery, but it does appreciate being revved harder and harder as it keeps pulling strongly high up the rev range. Once that initial engine noise has settled, the engine becomes very quiet. There's not a lot of noise that comes out of it at all, and that even goes for sitting at motorway speeds. It sits at around 2,500–3,000 revs, which is really impressive, again, for the size of engine. Also, if you slow down with the traffic and say drop to 50 and you're in 6th gear, you can just press the accelerator and it will speed you up again. It does take a little bit of time, but nothing that's too over the top, so you can happily sit there and just leave it in 6th. That brings me on to the gearbox, which has got a short throw and a fluid action. It then clunks into gear really quite mechanically and solidly. It feels like a quality piece of kit, and coupled with a light clutch, it's easy to swap cogs in here. The Octavia happily swallows larger bumps and undulations. It lopes down the road in a rather relaxed fashion. However, it does struggle with smaller bumps and can be a little bit crashy over something that's sharp edge, such as a manhole cover that's sunken. So it can be a little bit firmer than you'd like, but generally it's a decent ride. Handling wise, it's pretty neat and tidy. It's well behaved and composed in most corners. However, get to a sharper corner with a little bit more speed on and you do feel a shift of weight to the outside wheels. Other than that, there's plenty of front end grip and you're quite happily to push on and have a little bit of fun in this. The steering's got a lovely weighting to it. It's really slick and linear. It's quite light in feel, but it's accurate and precise and consistent at all times. It's pretty much everything you can ask for in a runabout family car that's not pretending to be particularly sporty. With that quiet engine on the move, there's also limited wind and road noise. However, you do hear the suspension going over bumps in the road. Visibility to the front and sides is pretty good, and there's a massive rear screen on that hatch which gives you great visibility through the rear view mirror. However, the sloping rear roof pillars are a little bit thicker, so can obstruct some over the shoulder visibility. There's also no reversing camera or parking sensors on this model, which does mean you have to keep your wits about you. Whilst I think this car's well equipped for the price, it does do without any steering wheel controls, and that's quite amazing how much you miss them when you haven't got them. The infotainment system is really clear and easy to use. There's 4 shortcut buttons on either side and has DAB radio and Bluetooth. You can also connect your mobile phone. With my iPhone, I can get Apple CarPlay, which means I can then put maps on here. So whilst this hasn't got standard fit sat-nav and I'm not having to pay for an extra, I can just use what I've already got on my phone. The Octavia really does offer excellent value for money. It's also good to drive and has a comfy ride. And this new engine is an absolute peach. Check out the website for the full review of the updated Octavia. Let us know in the comment section below what you think of the facelifted model, and do subscribe to our channel for free.